it's Lynn from LynnieCDesigns. Thank you for joining me today. I'm coming on to share with you a trifold angle card. I haven't got a sample to show you, but I'm making 2 card bases out of a sheet of A4 cardstock. I've already pre-scored it to make 3 panels at 9.9 centimetres and 19.8 centimetres. And I've measured down from the right hand side 7 centimetres and up from the left hand side 7 centimetres and made a little mark, and I'm going to place both of those marks into the track on my trimmer. Make sure that they're lined up, they just about fit on, you can't see the bottom one I'm afraid, and then just cut that with the cutting blade and you end up with 2 bases. They fit into a standard envelope, but that creates a really nice little angled card, I think, and you get 2 bases from the 1 sheet of A4. Now the reason I'm doing this tutorial is my sister-in-law wanted to know how I made the card for my dad's birthday. This was recently, and I said I would do a tutorial to show her. For his card, I actually used 1 sheet of A4 and I did the diagonal from 21 centimetres from the right hand side. I didn't really measure it, I think it's about 9.5 centimetres, but you can just, so everyone is individual. So using my bone folder, I'm going to just reinforce those score lines so that it's nice and they're nice and crisp, and then I use my bone folder over the cut just to make sure that it's nice and crisp as well. And then I'm going to cut some of the designer series paper. This is some that I've got in my stash. Sadly it hasn't carried over into the new catalogue, but let's bring my trimmer in. You can use any cardstock or make your own DSP, and that's what I'm going to do with the next one. I'm just pointing out the 3 panels that I want to cover with the DSP. So I'm going to cut 3 strips that are 9.4 centimetres wide, so that when they're added to the front or each of the panels, they actually leave a nice little border all the way around. Isn't this paper pretty? It's really lovely. So the next bit, you could actually do measurements, but I'm just going to do this by eye. I find it's quicker. So with a pencil, I'm going to just lay the paper where I want it, and then you can see the base underneath and just make a little mark with the pencil. Flip the card over because this middle panel is the one where I want the designer series paper, and again mark with a pencil. Flip it over and do the last panel there. Make sure that they are visible, and then I'll get my trimmer back in. And using the little track down the center there, that's where you line up, that I'm showing, that's where you line up the little pencil marks. And I thought about cutting more than 1 bit at a time, and then I changed my mind because I didn't want the paper to move. Bright idea, sometimes slowly catches the monkey, eh? So we'll do each bit individually, and you can see me trying to work out where the marks are. And I'm just checking that I've got the angle right. Doubt myself sometimes. Paper is so pretty. It's a shame. Shame it hasn't carried over. Beautiful colours. Those poppies are gorgeous. So using my little trimmer, I decided, the perfectionist in me, there was take a little slither off either edge of that card. I'd obviously not got my scoring in exactly the right place, and I wanted to just make sure that there wasn't any overhang or any bits that you could see. So using a rubber just to rub out any little pencil marks that are left on the card or the DSP, and just popping them in place to make sure that they are actually where they should be. And you can see, actually, it's a happy mistake that the design of the series paper runs right the way through all those panels because of the way I actually trimmed it. And I have to say that was a happy accident rather than in it being planned. But sometimes these things work in your favour and some things they don't. Sometimes they don't. So because you can see the white core of this designer series paper, I'm just going to get a bit of stamping sponge and some balmy blue ink and just apply some ink to the edge of that paper just to sort of mask the white core. It doesn't really matter, but I think it for me it just finishes it off a little bit and gets rid of that stark whiteness. Most of the paper that Stampin' Up does is double-sided and I really love it. Most of it coordinates, but this time I've just used the same design on each, but you know, it creates more possibilities because they're all lovely designs. And I can't wait to get my hands on some stuff from the new catalogue. So if you haven't subscribed already, please do. Hit the subscription button below and hit the bell so that you get notified when I release a video. And I will try and release more videos, be more consistent. The technology just gets to me, really does. So adding some of my Tombow liquid glue, which is my favourite, to each of those 3 panels. We can then stick that onto the card base. And the wet glue just gives you time to move it about, give you a bit of a wiggle room, as we say. So, whereas if you get a tape runner, you can if you don't put it down right, it's often ruined. So that's really lovely. And then I wanted to show how to add the little sentiment. So that panel there is where I would have to write my sentiment for the inside to the recipient. And now I've die cut 2 of the Happy from Thick Whisper White and 1 from Rich Raspberry, which is one of the colours in the designer series paper. The 2, you could do more, it's just to give it a little bit of rigidity, and I'm going to stick those 2 behind and then stick the coloured card on top. So I'm using a silicone mat in case I get a bit messy with my glue, because this silicone mat is brilliant. It just it wipes off, the glue wipes off really easily. So you can see I'm just popping a little bit of glue underneath there. I didn't need it on the A, just wanted it on the swirly bits. And I'm going to stick those down on the base. Now I got that slightly wrong, so I'm going to squidge it up and squidge it. I'm making up words. That's better. And then I will just get rid of any sticky tacky bits after the glue's dried. So adding glue to all of those letters. I'm probably being a little bit overhanded, but because of the silicone sheet underneath, it's not making my desk or my paper, grid paper messy. So I'm just adding a bit to the little bits which will come over the front of the card and placing that down on top. Now it can be offset a little bit, it doesn't matter, it just lets the letters stand out a little bit more. A little fiddle with that, and I think that's really lovely. So you could do fancy or partial die cutting, but I find this is quite an easy way of sort of sandwiching that over the top. And then off camera I heat embossed birthday from the Well Said birthday set on Rich Raspberry cardstock, and I'm using the edges of my dimensionals, waste not want not, to pop that up on there. So I will probably embellish it a little bit more, but I just wanted to share with you the basic design. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Take care for now.